Holy shit. I don't know about you guys, but that PlayStation Showcase was awesome. Mostly for the fact that Spider-Man 2 and all of its glory was finally revealed and the gameplay was showcased in full with a bunch of new features that I want to talk about today. But the main attraction is the symbiote black-suited Peter Parker, or symbiote Spider-Man. From the thumbnails, I honestly thought the suit was similar to the concepts that a lot of people came up with, you know, the random mods that just put black on Spider-Man's default suit with a little extra texture to the symbol. And honestly, it looked a little worse than the concept, since some of the concepts have the white symbiote symbol cross over to Spider-Man's arms and down to his wrists to that white pattern on it. But this one is just simply black, but there are a lot more special things about this suit. It seems to have some kind of texture that reminds me of the live-action Spawn movie. Whenever he were to put his suit on, it would sort of gel onto his face and you would see these sort of ripples or wrinkles that add a little more creepiness to the suit. And just like with Spawn from Mortal Kombat 11, you see the same type of textures on it. And the reason I mentioned this character is because Todd McFarlane made Spawn, but he also created Venom and Carnage, and of course the black-suited Spider-Man. So to have that Spawn-like texture to it that adds some creepy stillness to the suit is so appropriate, and I wouldn't have imagined that Insomniac would apply that to it. And I don't usually talk about Spider-Man on my channel, but I do talk about the black-suited Spider-Man whenever I even think that I see him. But besides the aesthetic of Peter's symbiote suit, I love how creepy and serious Spider-Man is in this. Like, Peter would usually emote a lot and look around because he's still a little fearful and concerned for everyone around him. But when he's in the black suit, he's just laser focused on whatever he wants. And he barely moves, even when Miles is talking to him. He just sits and stares at Miles until he stops talking, as if he's just looking for the information that he wants. And I never seen that kind of creepiness to the black-suited Spider-Man, well, besides that one instance where he's chasing Shocker in the animated series.
Get back here, Shocker! Shocker!
But I just love the quietness and focus that this black-suited Spider-Man has. And of course, Spider-Man is being voice acted by Yuri Lowenthal, which was Sasuke from Naruto, and you know how dark and edgy that character can be. He's probably the most edgiest anime character in history, to be honest. So for Yuri to do such a great job with the original Spider-Man in Marvel Spider-Man 1, and to cross over to doing black-suited Spider-Man and hearing how grovelly and angry he can be, it makes it clear that Insomniac intended on letting Yuri voice act symbiote Spider-Man and had that in mind since the beginning, especially since what happens in part 1. But Insomniac definitely knows what they're doing with the look and feel of the symbiote Spider-Man. I also noticed his white eyes pulsated as if instead of being part of a mask or just a layer of symbiote flesh, I guess, it's almost like the black parts of the suit are just over actual eyeballs. And if you look really closely, you can see the eyeball pulsating as if it's reacting to the emotion of Peter. It sort of adds an extra layer of fire to Peter's emotions. And in the last shot, you can see the eyes squinting, just like his normal lenses. Insomniac does need to work on the texture and shape of the eyes a little more just to make it look better when they do those close-up shots. But you can tell it's still kind of a work in progress, even though the game is coming in fall. But changing aesthetic features of a game doesn't take quite as long as fixing a bunch of bugs and gameplay issues. But besides the black-suited Spider-Man, you got Miles Morales. And like I stated before, Spider-Man Miles Morales is like my favorite Spider-Man game because of what he can do and the relationships that he has in New York City. Just makes him feel like more of an innocent, well-mannered, and caring Spider-Man. But they added a few features to Peter and Miles. You can apparently glide now, and Miles' Venom Strike is blue instead of yellow. I'm not sure if at some point when you upgrade, the color changes. For some reason, they made it blue. I think blue looks a lot better. Maybe he's just more powerful, so it's kind of like fire where it focuses and it turns to a different color, like blue or even green. So it's kind of cool that you can glide over low-lying areas, and that makes me think they wouldn't add a gliding system unless there was something that prevents you from swinging regularly, that you have to glide past, like different boroughs in New York, perhaps. From the initial reveal of Kraven the Hunter, I like the voice actor. He kind of sounds like the other Kravens we've had in Shattered Dimensions and the animated series, with that thick accent. But one of his henchmen hand him some kind of GPS handheld. And from the looks of it, they peer over a 3D image of Manhattan, and then they go even further into Queens, Brooklyn, and possibly even Staten Island. And from just that confirmation of the map at the beginning of the trailer, It seems like it's doubled or even tripled, which is exactly what I wanted, and it would explain the ever so needed gliding function in Peter and Miles' suits. And with the initial start of the gameplay showing symbiote Spider-Man, it looks like they're either in Staten Island or perhaps a different part of Queens, because I used to live in Queens, and some areas are a little more separate than others, but that kind of looks more like either Staten Island or even Long Island. I'm not sure if they confirmed it. I mean, I just watched the video. And besides that, it also seems like there's a switching function between Peter and Miles, GTA 5 style, which makes a lot of sense given how big the world is going to possibly get. If you can switch between these two characters and they say different things just like in GTA 5, that would make the world feel a little more lived in. And if they're doing something like interacting with a pedestrian or just hanging a bunch of criminals onto a fire escape and then resuming their mission with you being the controller, that would actually be cool. It would be so amazing if the game had all 5 boroughs of New York, since games like Prototype and all the past Spider-Man games except Ultimate had a primary map being just Manhattan. Well, I think Prototype 2 had different parts of New York as well. But I'm glad they're taking it slow and expanding New York slowly, since Peter is from Queens. It would be cool to see his old place, because you just saw Aunt May in the Feast building. It was as if she'd never went home. So it would be kind of heartwarming to go back to her old place to get some memories from that house, just like with Arkham City, where you can go to Crime Alley and see the outline of Batman's parents and just pay respect to them, which I believe is where the press F to pay respects meme came from. But going back into Kraven the Hunter's part in this game, I know from the comics that Kraven leads to a lot of huge numbers of cameos. His involvement in Spider-Man's world could lead to a ton of world expansion, similar to the likes that we saw from Hugo Strange in Arkham City. We could even potentially see some Avengers characters, because Kraven the Hunter is wanted by a lot more superheroes than Spider-Man, and he has the connection to countless other types of scenarios that Spider-Man can eventually go through, including the symbiote Spider-Man and Venom. I mean, we know for sure that Avengers are going to be in this game because Hawkeye was on a boat or something like that. At least I think that was Hawkeye. He kind of looked like Green Arrow, but I'm pretty sure that was Hawkeye. And we could of course see this character during the lizard chase scene. And when they mentioned Dr. Conners, I was hoping that they would show something related to the lizard, and they definitely delivered. The lizard looks like Godzilla pretty much, or he looks exactly like Killer Croc from Arkham Knight. And from what they showed so far, I don't think I can say that I can't wait to see what Insomniac is going to do with the lizard, but I know they have a lot more in store. And Dr. Conners has a very dark history in Spider-Man. In fact, he has a lot of creepy interactions with him. So there's no doubt there's going to be scary parts to your interactions with the lizard, just like with Killer Croc. Those two are very similar characters, except Killer Croc is just a random criminal, and the lizard is a scientist, so he's technically a genius, as well as super strong and fast. And going back to the symbiote Spider-Man one more time, it's awesome to see how focused his attacks are, with tendrils similar to the Web of Shadows attacks, but brought up to 11. It seems like there are defensive abilities along with counters Peter can perform. And it was awesome when he pulled a Mario Odyssey and came out of the ground, revealing his Spider-Man suit underneath, and then quickly covering himself with a symbiote soon after he landed. And it was kind of mortifying seeing Spider-Man just burst through a ceiling, scaring the living crap out of Miles Morales, and then remembering after seeing Miles' terrified face that, oh yeah, I'm a human, I forgot about that. So he slowly went back to his normal form before coming out of the shadows. It seems like his human form is the last thing on his mind, which shows the push and pull between Spider-Man and Venom. And it definitely seems like Venom is winning. And of course, Peter seems a lot more cocky and irrational while going after that last drone. But it's good to see that he still kind of needs Miles in a way, and he finds him useful. So he listens to him to a certain extent. For now. Poor kid doesn't even know what's coming. And besides those huge segments and overall good showcase of Spider-Man 2, I think there was a lot that was shown which I wanted to see more than anything. Primarily and notably, the web zipline function. That was something I was literally imagining. And seeing some of those concept Spider-Man 4 videos where you can actually do some sort of web zipline similar to Prototype 2's tendril attacks, it made my imagination go even crazier. And I wanted that feature since the first Marvel Spider-Man, because the stealth kind of sucked in the first Spider-Man, but with Miles Morales, the stealth was a lot more cleaned up. There were a lot of times when I was playing the game on the PS4 where Peter would just fall off of random corners of beams in the ceiling. So having that custom web zip makes things so much more easier, but it seems like there are going to be enemies on the beams on the ceiling. So you might have to find creative ways to work around that. And with games like Spider-Man 2 making custom ways to defeat enemies, along with even Assassin's Creed giving you all types of options, it seems games like Breath of the Wild and Metal Gear Solid 5 are really having an effect on open world stealth games or stealth features in those games. So it's really awesome to see those immensely creative options being available to you in Marvel Spider-Man 2. And in summary, Spider-Man 2 looks incredible. It's everything I wanted. His suit looks creepy and powerful as it should, and it even hints to Venom in the last few seconds, with Peter snarling and saying that he has teeth too. Overall, it's a good time to be a Spider-Man fan, especially after that amazing trailer. And admittedly, I actually don't have a PlayStation 5 right now. I have pretty much everything else, but this game might very well push me to finally buy one, along with that insane looking game, Phantom Blade Zero. Holy crap, did you guys see the choreography and swordplay in that gameplay? Besides that, we had a lot of other big reveals like Project Q. Well, Project Q is not a big reveal, but I thought it was at first. It's just a handheld streaming PlayStation device, which was a massive letdown, but was ultimately alluding to it not being as big as we thought, since they were introducing it as a PlayStation accessory and not just a standalone console handheld hybrid. But I guess we're not getting a PlayStation Vita 2 or a PSP 3, I guess. It's just another Logitech streaming device-like handheld that makes the PlayStation 5 into a Wii U. And I really don't want to make a video about it because it's just a disappointment and I have nothing but negative things to say about it, so it's kind of a waste. I don't like it, and it kind of looks ugly. It just looks like they cut a PlayStation DualSense controller in half and pasted it onto a cheap screen. The screen's not even OLED apparently. That's the least they could do. But going back into Phantom Blade Zero, it sort of reminds me of the aesthetic of Vampire Hunter D. It just looked absolutely mind-blowing, and the style and voice acting that we hear also sounds and looks top-notch. I really hope that Phantom Blade Zero is multi-platform and not just a PlayStation exclusive, because if it is a PlayStation exclusive, I'm gonna buy a PlayStation 5. I just need one more game to push me over the edge. They also announced Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake, which a lot of people were expecting, but honestly I thought was a silly idea because Hideo Kojima is not involved in it. There's a whole thing with that. But it's nice to see that Konami is still paying their respects to the Metal Gear franchise by tackling one of the best in the series. But it was a slick showcase and I loved most of the games that they showed in it. I don't know what some people are talking about it being a disappointment. I guess some people were expecting The Last of Us 3 or some kind of Bloodborne remaster, which I get. I want Bloodborne at 60 FPS as well. That game is insane. Maybe it'll come soon, who knows. And that's all I gotta talk about with that. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Hope you have a good one. Later.